Good evening once again. Thank you everyone for coming and making this night so special. We have a lot of really fantastic people that we are going to acknowledge tonight. I think you already know most of them, but I know you'll be pleased to hear a little bit more background and acknowledge them for their hard work and their accomplishments. I want to, before we get going with the formal thank yous, I would like to thank Alexis in the back of the room. Alexis can give a wave. Over here on my left, your right, is Andrea, but she's probably hiding behind there. Good. Andrea worked with staff today, and the two big cameras you see here are live streaming. So everyone can see this event, and then also on the Centralia College YouTube channel after tonight. So feel free to share it with people who weren't able to come tonight. Also, you've seen our fantastic athletes and our students that are around giving everyone some help. Let's give them a nice round of applause too, please. There's cake left, but if you wanted chocolate, you're out of luck. So a note for next year will be more chocolate, a little less white. All right, we're good with that. Okay, I don't have much of a role tonight except to say thank you for coming. These awards are very important to the college. They're very important to the students. There's a long history here at the college with our Distinguished Alumni Award. When you were out in the hallway, you may have seen the Distinguished Alumni Wall. I would encourage you to stop by afterwards and take a really good look at it. It's pretty impressive when you think of the compactness of this area, and we are not a big urban area, and yet to have that much talent coming out of this college. And those are just the folks who have risen to the very, very top, and there's a lot of people who have made great contributions to the world that we haven't gotten a chance to acknowledge yet. So that Distinguished Alumni Wall is out in the hall. Also out in the hall, but a little bit around the corner when you go out towards the store, is our brand new Legacy Wall. And you will see two people on that wall, one from last year and one to be announced tonight. The Foundation Board of Directors had talked for a number of years about wanting to acknowledge someone who had made a very significant contribution to Centralia College, but wasn't alumni. And it got talked about and tabled and talked about and tabled. And last year, the board decided to move forward with that and create the Legacy Award for someone who's made a significant contribution to the college, but may be alive or deceased and may be an alumni or not. You'll hear more about our Legacy Award winner this year, but the plaque out in the wall is very beautiful. Please take a moment to take a look at that. Other than that, we have several distinguished alumni here in our presence, I believe. I believe Mr. Beatty is here, and Susan Dunn is here, and Alicia Wicks is here. Would you guys please stand or at least wave? Thank you very much for coming tonight. We appreciate you taking the time to spend the evening and celebrate with us. All right, I think that's it. I think that's all the business that there is for tonight. I'm gonna turn the mic and the procession of award winners over to the president of Centralia College, Bob Moorbacher.
Thank you, Christine. All right, how great is this? This is a good-looking group. So, how many students are in the room? Look at that. Thank you for being here. And how many Rotarians are in the room? Look at that. Okay, nice showing, Rotarians. If anyone would like to know how to join Rotary, you talk to me afterwards and I will hook you up, okay? Good job, Andy. Yeah. This has been a great year. We are looking forward to a very successful commencement Tomorrow we have over 350 students who are going to walk across the stage, and that's only not quite half of, somewhere around half of our graduates. So our students are successful and happy and on their way to big things. Enrollment is continuing to climb pretty rapidly. 10% or more each year, and so far the numbers for fall look like they'll be maybe a little better than that. So we're really happy to see that. I want to thank our Board of Trustees for being here tonight. We're very happy this year to welcome our newest trustee, Chris Thomas, from Providence. And our board members, Court Stanley, Patrina Mullins, Mark Scheibmeyer, and Annalie Toby. They do a lot to keep this place going, to really keep me in line, for one thing, and I thank them for all of their work. The applause was for keeping me in line, right? Yeah. I think most of you know that we have a new student housing facility that opened in the fall. That's a partnership with Collegiate Housing International. And we're very happy to have that option for students. The Centralia College Foundation played a big role in getting that up and running and helping with that project. We also, someone was asking me earlier about some of the homeless high school students who are there, and Lisa Grant from Centralia School District, who's here tonight, was instrumental in helping us with that partnership. So is United Way, Annie Oyen is here tonight. And Rob Cox, our VP of Student Services, really helped push that forward. The Centralia Community Foundation, a lot of great partners there to make that happen. We hope we'll be able to do more of that in the future. Bob Peters Field had its first year of operation. The batting cages are now open. If you want to go into the VIP room up in the top of the batting cages and watch a soccer game or something like that, you talk to Christine and she'll hook you up, I'm sure. Great view up there. It's a great facility. We're excited to have that. We have finished the design for our Teacher Education Family Development Center, which will be over on this side of campus. We are currently waiting with our fingers crossed to see whether we have the funding from the legislature to begin construction next July 1st. So we have at least a year to wait. We're hoping it won't be longer. But that would be a great facility, and will replace a couple of very outdated facilities that need replacing badly. You'll hear more later, but we're celebrating this year a full decade of Bachelor of Science in Management graduates. And we have now 5 bachelor's degrees, and coming this next year, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science will be our 6th bachelor's degree. Those bachelor's degrees are really meeting a need here locally. The students who come through those programs often get jobs here locally. Many of the BASM graduates are working in the area. Some of them are working for the college. The teacher ed graduates mostly teach in the general area in Lewis County or nearby. So it's really meeting a need for bachelor's degrees in our community. And so we'll continue to build on that. And you might be interested to know bachelor's degrees in community colleges are growing very fast, but more than a quarter of them, those bachelor's degree programs, are in Washington State, We have one of the largest bachelor's degree programs in community colleges in the country. We're very excited to be part of the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub, and it's a huge federal project. We are waiting on details. There's negotiation going on with the Department of Energy, but we are part of that project, and there will be training dollars involved to train students to work in new industries as they develop here locally. And there's some great work that has gone on with that, and that will be a very exciting new thing as it develops. The partnership between Centralia College and the Centralia College Foundation is hugely important and allows us to do very many things. Many of you have heard me say before, we're the only community college in the state that does not do student loans. We want students to graduate debt-free. And that is only possible because the foundation does such a great job of providing scholarships for students and helping to meet their need. So thank you to the foundation for that. Thank you to many of you in the room who continue to support us every year. So many other exciting things happening this year, but I get to announce a couple of awards here. And I get to announce, first of all, our Exceptional Faculty Award winners. So the Exceptional Faculty Award nominations by colleagues, vetted by the Exceptional Faculty Committee, and then affirmed by the President. I'm very happy to announce that this year's winners are Kelly Erickson and Rachel Bryant Anderson. Kelly Erickson teaches English and has been at the college since 2013. She earned tenure in 2021. Kelly is the director of the Centralia College Writing Center. The center provides help to all students with writing tasks or assignments, helping them to succeed. Kelly supervises a staff of writing tutors and keeps them focused on the needs of students. She's also the chair of the English department and works across campus to assure we are maximizing student support. So congratulations to Kelly Erickson. Kelly, I'm going to ask you to come forward. And our second Exceptional Faculty Award winner is Rachel Bryant Anderson, who teaches sociology. She helped to develop the bachelor's degree in behavioral health care. I understand she originally intended to become a social worker, but discovered her love of teaching while she was in graduate school, and she and I have that in common. Rachel's very active across campus. She serves on the Justice, Equity, and Diversity Council, the Instructional Council. She's co-chair of the Sustainability Committee. In her 5 years at Centralia College, she's established herself as a key member of the faculty and a go-to person on a great number of issues. So congratulations, Rachel, and please come forward. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Rob Cox, the VP of Student Services, who is going to tell us about some outstanding students.
So you have no idea how much I love this event. Like, seriously, if you knew what I did in my personal job here at the college, last month, FBI was here talking about some students, all the fun things. So this is an opportunity for me to come and talk about some amazing students that have never been through my office usually. It's weird how that works. And I lost my note page, so give me a second. So I'm here today to talk about a couple outstanding students that we have at the college. On the sheet of paper on your table, there's some information about those students. We've also pushed this information out pretty adequately through social media and through the Chronicle, but I want you to make sure you read about each student. But I want to talk a little bit about the award first. And before I do that, I want to see how many people are in the room that have been an outstanding student. There's got to be some. Not one? So this is how important of an award this is. Like, there's some brilliant people in this room that graduated from Centralia College, and not one hand went up. So this is a really prestigious award. So in 1978, we started the Outstanding Student Award at Centralia College. And to this date, we have awarded 194 students the Outstanding Student Award. So that's not a lot of people. I do expect every year when I'm talking about these students and you're reading about them that at some point in 20 years, they will be a distinguished alumni. And I'm still waiting for that day to happen. Hopefully it'll be 10, 15 years down the road, but the students that we're recognizing and we have recognized are certainly that caliber of individuals. Historically, the award was given based on academic excellence and college service. So a couple years ago, Nicole Zock, Nicole, can you raise your hand? She's the executive assistant in my office. She's the one that oversees this process. She had some questions about, why are we focusing on students that are only involved at Centralia College? She's like, we have a lot of amazing students that are overcoming some really significant obstacles in their life outside the college, and they're committing a lot of their time and effort into becoming a good student. So we recrafted the entire policy and process. And so now we recognize students that have overcome obstacles in pursuit of their degree, that have achieved their educational goals, and that are engaged members of the community. So it's not a GPA-driven student leadership on campus position award any longer. And as such, we've found some members in the last couple of years that have been really, really great members. And then this year's batch is no exception to that. So the first two students that I want to mention, Kaya Lene and Mondrell Robertson, they are both students that are graduating this year in our corrections program at Green Hill. So they're not able to come today, but they were given their certificates and their plaques at their graduation ceremony 2 days ago. So I want to give them a round of applause. And then the last three students I want to mention, Justin Chung, very active student leader. He is one of the few students that I've had a chance to engage with through his role in student government. It's been great to get to know Justin. Stephanie Mossau, just met her. She's sitting at my table. What an amazing young woman. She's got great things ahead of her, in her future as well. And then Gracie Owen, the daughter of Annie Owen, who we all know. And if you haven't got a hug from Annie yet, raise your hand. Oh, there's one in the back. Annie, you missed somebody. So if the three of you could please come to the stage, I would love to give you a round of applause and present you with your plaque. And now I have the privilege to introduce our permanent VP of Instruction, Connie Schmeichel. And as she walks up here, I'll tell you, for those of you that don't know Connie, I'm a pretty competitive person. She's more competitive than me. So if you ever throw down on Connie, expect her to win somehow. But please welcome Connie to the stage.
It's always nice to know that Robert knows I'll win. So, for those of you who know me well, you know that standing on this stage and speaking to a crowd doesn't rank high on my list of passions. However, when Christine asked me to speak about tonight's Legacy Award recipient, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to honor my mentor and friend, Larry McGee. I tried really hard to pass up the opportunity, Larry, but I like you too much. While preparing for this evening, I was pondering how I was going to synthesize Larry's accomplishments in a meaningful way and stay on schedule. The reality is I won't be able to share all of his accomplishments in our time together. I'm going to leave out important things, and I apologize in advance. Larry had a career filled with accomplishments before our paths crossed in 2011. He spent 24 years at PPG Industries in engineering and plant management. PPG is what brought Larry to Lewis County, so we should thank them. His intent was to start a glass manufacturing site and then move back to Pittsburgh. But after the plant closed and they abandoned the glass business, Larry decided this was his community. He liked it, and he settled in. After PPG, he worked for 2 years at STR Corporation, an aerospace and defense company, in strategic consulting, and 11 years at IBM in industrial consulting and sales. At the conclusion of 35-plus years in the workforce, Larry was ready to retire. Throughout his adult life, Larry has been active in his community. The dedication to community came from watching and learning from his mother, who was a dedicated community volunteer. At the age of 29, Larry started getting involved with community boards. Being active in his community is important to Larry. We all have benefited from this commitment. I don't know about you, but when I walk into a community event, such as where we are tonight, Larry's the first person I look for. And it's not very often that he isn't there. Larry was a charter member of Twin Cities Rotary, a 2-time Rotarian of the Year, 7 years as the finance chair for Rotary District 5020, which is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. Larry served on boards for Pope's Place and the Centralia Chehalis Chamber. While Larry was busy serving his community, Washington State was exploring options to increase the number of residents with bachelor's degrees to meet the growing need for highly skilled workers across our state. At that time, we were bringing people from other states to do the work here in Washington. Washington state legislation passed House Bill 1794, giving the State Board of Community and Technical Colleges the authority to select pilot programs at designated community and technical colleges. Upon the completion of a successful pilot period, legislation changed the status of applied baccalaureate degrees from pilot to regular status, allowing all community and technical colleges the ability to propose applied bachelor's degrees. At this time, Centralia College was known for our 2-year degrees and our certificate programs. The college knew Lewis County was behind the state average on residents with bachelor's degrees. The college knew it was an opportunity to provide high-quality, low-cost bachelor's degrees in our community. This would increase the number of applicants with the job skills needed for employment and higher wage jobs and support growth in our community. But the college needed someone to lead this charge. Larry McGee was an active community member with a business background. The match made perfect sense to us. At this point in time, Larry was the executive director of the Chehalis Renaissance team, now Experience Chehalis, and he had a list of projects he was working on, ticking off his 85-item to-do list. I have to say that's one thing I like about Larry. He's able to see that big picture and also look down all the way to the fine details to make any project happen. Dr. Walton called Larry out of the blue. Larry had no idea what he wanted to talk about, but Larry's always up for a good chat, and he took the meeting. Dr. Walton asked him to come to Centralia College and start a bachelor's degree. Larry had never worked at a college campus, and he knew nothing about it, and he initially turned down the offer. However, Dr. Walton was persistent and asked Larry to go to another campus and talk with an administrator who had developed and launched an applied bachelor's program. During this visit with the Dean of Columbia Basin in Pasco, she shared her experiences with Larry. She shared in their conversation that she had spent 34 years in higher education, and starting the bachelor's degree was the most important thing she had done in her life. She offered Larry a ton of support if he was willing to accept this position and the challenge. I believe Larry's commitment to this community and her passion showed Larry this was an important opportunity to help in a way he had never considered. He told Dr. Walton he would do it and joined our team in November of 2011 with the goal of starting the college's first program in September of 2012. 10 months. That likely seemed realistic for somebody who spent their career in fast-paced industries. In the world of education, that's a pretty aggressive time frame. A typical time frame when a college is starting a new degree program, especially at a level of degree that they hadn't previously offered, we tell them, be patient, 18 to 24 months. Patience, of course, is not one of Larry's virtues. And there's also nothing average about Larry. For those of you who can't see, I'm going to stand up here and talk until he crosses off his entire speech. We're currently playing a game with one another. All right. While some concept work had been completed before he joined the team, we were really in the early stages of pulling together the program details that would need to be approved by the State Board of Community and Technical Colleges. A new program requires a lot of research, proposal writing, and rewriting, and rewriting, and rewriting. The college had to demonstrate that we had the people, the facilities, the support of our community, the jobs, and the financial resources to support bachelor's programs. Approvals through the State Board, the college's curriculum committee, the college's accreditation, and the Department of Education were needed before this program could launch. Many steps in the approval process are dependent on one another, so there can be long waiting periods between submissions if the timing isn't just right. 2 weeks into the job, there was just a slight setback. The first proposal that went to the State Board was rejected. Larry provided Dr. Walton, Larry's never provided me this opportunity, but he provided Dr. Walton the opportunity to fire him. Thankfully, Dr. Walton declined and said, we're gonna figure out how to make this work. So, Larry rolled up his sleeves and he kept at it, submitting new proposals and working with Dr. Walton and other college staff to get the proposal through the first hurdle. As soon as the program earned State Board approval, the next step was approval from the college's accrediting body and the Department of Education. While waiting for final approvals and September quickly approaching, Larry started recruiting students, hiring faculty, preparing education plans and courses. Larry and I visited multiple employers to talk with their employees about the opportunity to advance their education. And many of the companies had tuition reimbursement programs and encouraged their employees to join the program. While we were waiting for final approval, I applied for a teaching position and my role at the college changed from a director to a faculty member. Thankfully, that just changed the type of work that I got to do with Larry to launch this program. While we continued recruiting, I started preparing to teach the foundational course in the program. Suddenly, Larry was my boss. Larry had 28 students ready to start that first cohort. He took the time to meet with each student individually to talk about the program, their readiness, and their career goals. He admitted we might experience some bumps along the way, but assured everyone we were going to make this work. At this point, the only thing stopping us was approval from the Department of Education. It had not yet been received, and without that approval, this program wasn't going to launch as planned. If you know Larry well, you know that that didn't slow him down. He might have worried a bit, but he kept focused with the preparations for September's start. The calendar turned and it was September. There was no word yet. Thankfully, we start like around the 20th. It's 10 days before the start of that class, before the start of our quarter, the final approval arrived. He's crossing out more. I love this. The program launched, and the last student was admitted around 4:50 p.m., and Larry walked that student to my classroom at 5. The students named themselves the guinea pigs. They even made shirts. They were great. They were the most gracious and motivated group of students. They came with a lot of work experience. They were just waiting for that right opportunity to earn a bachelor's degree. They learned a lot from us, and we learned a lot from them. Their feedback and Larry's ability to accept feedback and act on it took a good program and made it better. Larry intended to work for the college for 18 months. He's going to cross off something else right now. However, he extended that time to about 2.5 years and worked on an approval process for the college's second bachelor's degree in diesel technology. I'm glad Larry got to stay a little bit longer. he was able to celebrate the graduation of that first cohort, see all that hard work and what it looks like on graduation day. Then he decided it was time to enter retirement for the second time. One would think the second round of retirement, maybe somebody could slow down. Not Larry. He immediately joined the advisory board at the college that provides input on our business programs, including this degree that he launched. 12 years later, and he is still contributing to the program, making sure the coursework remains relevant, that the students are learning, and that the program and community are thriving. This program has 302 graduates through last June. On Tuesday, I had the honor of attending graduation at Green Hill School to watch the first 5 Bachelor of Applied Science and Management degrees to be handed out in the state of Washington at a correctional facility. In addition to his continued contributions to the college, Larry serves on the Centralia Foundation. He's a founding member and the current chair of the new Discover Children's Museum, which has just broke ground in downtown Centralia. He serves on the board for the United Learning Center, the multi-agency complex that will be the home to the new Children's Museum. Larry also proposed to establish a Dolly Parton Imagination Library Society, where the members would commit financially to support free books for children in Lewis County. Larry and his wife, Becky, were the first members with a lifetime commitment to this cause. Becky's career in elementary education and her 21 years of service on the Centralia College Foundation Board show their shared commitment to changing our community through education. While all of his accomplishments are remarkable, and it's clear that Larry is deserving of the Legacy Award, I want to share what I and others think of when we hear the name Larry McGee. Don't look at me during this part. Persistence. Life challenges don't drag him down. Action. He gets the work done without complaint or drama. Giving of his resources, his time, and his stories. Kindness. He makes you feel welcome from day one. Mentor to anyone and everyone. Love for his family, his friends, and his community. I will leave you with my favorite quote about Larry, shared from our friend Anna Lee. We would all do well to be more Larry-like in our lives. Larry, can you please join me on stage?
I want you to know that in the 2.5 years we've worked together, Connie never said anything close to that nice. Never.
My memory's faded over 12 years.
Yeah, your memory's faded, right. Never even close. You know, before we start, you know, when you look around a group, there's always somebody that kind of sets a new high water mark for appearance. You know, you remember how great they look. Max, would you stand up? Can anybody think they can top that? Well, over the last few days, I've prepared a 73-page PowerPoint that I was going to show you on this screen, and I just found out Becky left it at home. So I know you're very disappointed. I can see Neil's almost crying, but so I'm going to be marvelously brief compared to that. Right? It really is an honor to be standing up here with this Legacy Award from the foundation. It really is, and it's great to share the evening with my friend Tim. Tim is given, you know, he's a fellow Rotarian. Obviously, we both started the club, and he's done so much for Centralia. And now he's doing so much for the schools. And so it's great to share it with you, Tim. It's great. And by the way, like Tim, I like to argue and debate. The difference is that he's good at it, all right? And by the way, Rotary, that was fantastic when Dr. Moorbacher said, all the Rotarians raise your hand. There's so many from Twin Cities here. Boy, I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Over the last few days, I've had a lot of really great and warm phone calls from, well, grandchildren, children, friends, people who are associated with the college, and it's been great. But as I look around this room, boy, I see a lot of people. I see a lot of people that make a huge difference in this community, and do so day after day. You know, there's a bunch of us, a lot of us that really care about this place that we live, and it shows. It really shows. What was noted in the article, and by the way, Connie did do her job because I crossed out. My mother was who I learned from. She was interesting. I don't remember my mother ever sitting down and saying, "Guys, you should do community service." You know, just like she never sat down and said you should get good grades. She somehow conveyed that pretty clearly. Yes, Vicki, she didn't talk it, she just conveyed it. But my mother was running the PTA in every school I was in. She was involved in civic issues in Decatur, a city of about 100,000 at the time. And she was a state officer for PEO, the women's group, for years. And she loved PEO and the support they provided. And then when she was in her 90s and she didn't want to go to meetings and all of this, I'm sure Becky can remember, we went to see her one day and she's furiously knitting helmet liners. Because it turns out, I guess the Kevlar helmets, I don't know, I don't have military experience, but apparently they're terribly uncomfortable and hot to wear. And she was the champion knitter in Lewis County, or in Macon County, Illinois. That was at 91. So I had a terrific mother. I had a terrific father, but he died very early. I'm very proud to have been integrally involved in bringing four-year programs to this institution. And the first group of students, you're right, there were some of them who they tried. I mean, they'd commuted to Longview, they'd commuted to Portland, they had tried 100% online, maybe they hated that. And so we were lucky. That first group was, boy, they were motivated. They wanted to get this done. And I'll bet you half of them were married and working full-time and going to school at night. Now, I've done that, right? I did that to get my master's degree. It took 7 years of night school. And it was fairly miserable because the last few years I was commuting about 60 miles a night. So we have provided a significantly important alternative for students here. It's great. You know, higher education is lately kind of in the news, and often it's negative. It's negative. And it's often focused on debt loads, which is not going to happen here, And it's focused on education that isn't accredited, isn't any good, especially for some for-profit schools. I'm sure there are some that are very good, but there are some that are not. But let's look at a couple of facts. On average, these are current numbers, a associate's degree provides 20 to 30% more income than a high school diploma. A bachelor's degree, now you're talking 60% more on average. That's just average, right? Than a high school diploma. Those are really significant numbers. So when you hear comments about is higher education still valuable, I would say those are pretty significant numbers, and it's still valuable for an awful lot of people. Now, let's look at small business for a moment. You know, some of you, I'm looking at Don and Rosie Wilson, who ran a restaurant. I don't know if that business was ever simple and straightforward. They'd probably say, no, it was never simple and straightforward. But gosh, it's got to be so much more difficult now. Imagine starting a small business in our state with the regulations on pay, on benefits, on all the financial reporting, on the labor laws. That is an awful lot for somebody to grasp. I think that the bachelor's program is really critical at helping people get up to speed and understand the breadth of what they're going to have to deal with if they're going to run and own a business, let alone if people are going to work for the government or for the college or in private business. I want to tell you that this college was a great place to work if you care about students. If you care about students. And you may say, well, that's obvious. Well, I'm not so sure. I had contact with some other institutions in that 3 years, and I'm not so sure they were as focused on that as we are here. I think it's an advantage to be a school, a college in a relatively small community, but that's not the reason, I don't believe. And I heard this from the accreditation people when they were here. There's a special culture here. There's a special connection to the community that's better than they generally see. They put that in writing in one of the analyses I'd seen. Now, why is that? Well, that doesn't happen by absence. That happens because of leadership. And it's great that Dr. Moorbacher is continuing that leadership. It's great. Well, the support I received here was significant. Don't let anybody tell you, I realize I'm getting this award, but none of you should think that one person starts something as complicated as a new program. That's just not the way it worked. In fact, the scientists that I worked with when I was in the glass business referred to situations in terms of what is required and what is sufficient. There may be many things that are required, and that's important to get them, but you've got to get the sufficient things as well, or you can't have the equation, you can't have the reaction, you can't start up the plant or whatever it is. Well, the most important item here for me was the support of the leader. And Dr. Walton was amazing. I did offer to resign because in the first letter that came back, the first rejection, not everybody can start a new job and 2 weeks later get a rejection letter, all right? You've got to show, you got to kind of be special to do that, right? Yeah. And they did complain in the letter, where did you get this guy that doesn't have a doctorate? How can you have somebody without a doctorate starting at this important new program? That was in there. And I did offer to resign. I said, Jim, just tell them you made a mistake and you'll find somebody else. And he said, no, they'll learn to like you. That's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Dr. Walton trusted me and he gave me a lot of leeway. I reported to John Martins, and John was great. And every now and then John would say, I think I should maybe say something to somebody and get involved. And what John was telling me is that, boy, you're over your head right now, and I need to step in. Now, where's John? Crash, where are you, Crash? Oh yes, there he is. Some of you know that John survived a near fatal accident in a sailplane. He was always fixing boats when I knew him, so it was a little safer, but John, it was great. You always stepped in when it was really needed. And then I'm looking at Steve Ward, and Steve was in the background for a lot of the things, but every time I needed some support or something special, or Steve had an opportunity to do something that was going to be supportive, he did. He was a vigorous supporter, vigorous. It was great. Well, tonight I saw Dr. McNamara. I saw Steve. Who else? I saw Jeff McQuarrie. I saw Regina King, who was a great adjunct. We were fortunate with the faculty, and there's a number of others that aren't here, but really was very fortunate with the participation of the faculty and the permanent faculty and the adjuncts that we brought in. But there was one person, and I hesitate to be nice to somebody that rarely was ever nice to me. It just doesn't seem right, but Connie was incredible. Connie, yeah. And I wrote that, before I heard what she was going to say. All right. No, Connie was incredible. Talk about a flexible person. I remember one night I had terminated an adjunct who I just thought he was not doing a good job at all for the students. And I went to Connie and I said, well, I've just terminated so-and-so. Okay, what do you want me to do? Well, I'd like you to take over the class in 30 minutes. She took over the class in 30 minutes. All right? And she added value to those students in that class. That's the kind of help I get. So I can tell you honestly, I could stand here and thank Connie every week, and it wouldn't be too much. It wouldn't be too much. And it's no surprise to me that she was promoted not too long ago, 6 or 8 weeks ago, to the very important position of Vice President of Instruction, which is a critical job. And I need to mention somebody else that's not here tonight. And those of you that have been associated with the college will quickly recognize this name. There was a lady in the instruction office who was a direct report to John. And I'm talking about a lady named Cheryl Williams. And if you didn't have a chance to work with Cheryl Williams, you missed out something, because I've done a lot of different jobs for a lot of different people, and I've never worked with anybody in that position better than Cheryl Williams. And so we did do a lot of rewrites, oh my goodness, and paperwork, and it was a blizzard of paper. I don't know how many trees sacrificed their life and so we could get this program started. But if any of you see her, just tell her, hey, Cheryl, McGee said you made a huge contribution to that program, because she did. She did. Well, a lot of you know me and know that I have a history of working too much. And I've only had that for 45 years, but I've had the best support somebody could have for 45 years. Thanks, Becky. Thank you. You know, I've started several factories, and when I say start a factory from the ground up, I mean we bought a pasture with cows in it. We chased the cows away. We brought in bulldozers, and we could have a factory up and running in 11 months. Nobody else in the world could do that. I don't know if they can yet, but PPG knew how to do that. And we were just darn good at it. And I've started up several nonprofits. In all of these, the atmosphere, when you get a bunch of smart people together, you're under a tight timeline, you've got some demanding goals, you're going to work some long hours, you're going to have some naysayers that have to be dealt with one way or the other, but you got to stay focused on what are we going to get done quickly and get done well. It's really satisfying. And when that work is aimed at something that helps others, it's even magnified. A number of years ago, Mahatma Gandhi said, quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And similarly, similar words, about 100 years ago, Paul Harris, a Chicago attorney, there are some great attorneys, Mark. You're one of them. No, Paul Harris, the Chicago attorney, who started Rotary in the world, said, quote, "Service above self is the key to a fulfilling life," unquote. I really believe those things. I really believe them. And I try to live in a way that exemplifies that. After all, I worked for my mother. She lived to 94, and she was a happy, wonderful person right up to the moment that she passed away. So what do I look at here when we hear about these numbers? Gosh, we've helped hundreds of people enhance their skills. We've helped hundreds of people position themselves maybe to have a new career, change the direction they're going. We've enhanced their ability to make bigger contributions to their organization, whatever that organization is. And we've enhanced their ability, frankly, to earn more for themselves and their family, and then that's all good. I'm so happy that we talked about Green Hill. I saw that the paper, you know, maybe you saw the front page picture, but to see that of these 5 award winners, 2 of them are bachelor's students from Green Hill. I spoke to this group months ago. I spoke to their class and answered questions. You want to meet some people that are dedicated about changing their life? These people are amazing. They know that they made serious errors. They know they need to do more than enhance what they've done. They've got to totally change their life. So it's a thrill for me to see 2 of the 5 are those students. Well, You know, it's no small thing. It's no small thing to enhance or change a life. In fact, I'd say it's a really big thing. It's a really big thing. And tonight, with this wonderful award, I just want you to know that you've enhanced my life, probably more than you realize. Thank you.
I would like to now introduce Centralia College Associate Professor Jeff McQuarrie.
Just for planning purposes, my speech is about 6, 7, 8 minutes longer than Connie and Larry's. Just kidding, it fits on one page. Like Connie said, my name is Jeff McQuarrie, and I get to teach communication studies here at the college, and I say I get to teach it because it's a privilege. And speaking of privileges, tonight, not only do I have one mentor here, but I have two mentors, and that Larry is, I consider him one of my mentors, but I get the privilege of introducing my good friend and dear mentor, Mr. Tim Browning. And I could come up here and I could, you know, regurgitate his resume, which is very impressive for sure. But a lot of you probably saw that in the Chronicle a couple days ago, or you know Tim real well anyway. And I thought it'd be more fun just to tell you a little story about how I met Tim. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have to take you back to 2015, and my dean came into my office and he said, there's this alum that calls me every week, and he says, you got to bring debate back to Centralia College. So I want you to call him, but I'm going to warn you, he's really persistent and he's really persuasive. And I'm embarrassed to admit this, but the first thing I thought was, what is this alum's angle? Like, we haven't had debate here in 40 years, and I think we're doing pretty good. What's his angle? Because I was living in Olympia at the time, and everybody in Olympia has an angle. And so I called him up, and we met for coffee at Fiddler's. And it took me about 2 minutes to understand that with Tim Browning, there is no angle. There's no agenda. Or if there's an agenda, the only agenda is that he cares deeply about students getting to have the same opportunities that he had. And so Mr. B convinced me that we need to bring back debate to Centralia College after 40 some odd years, but as a class. And I was very convinced, but there was one problem. And that problem is that I'd never been on a debate team like he had. You know, he was a champion debater in 1962, back when Centralia College had a debate team that was one of the best in the Northwest, if not the West Coast. I'd never been in a debate class. I'd never been on a team, let alone teach debate. The only debate experience I had was arguing with Julie, my wife. And she's undefeated. Has anybody ever been fact-checked by their wife? I have. So I told Mr. B, I called him up and I said, hey, Mr. B, I don't think I'm signed up for this. I don't think I'm your guy. You know, I agree we need to bring debate back to Centralia College, but I'm not your guy. I don't have enough experience. And I thought I was off the hook, and immediately, without skipping a beat, he said, it's okay, I can teach you. Just like that. It's okay, I can teach you. And so I figured he wasn't taking no for an answer, and I had an opportunity to learn debate from a debate champion, and I may as well go along with it. So I arranged for Tuesday coffee meetings at Fiddler's for an entire year. We would meet every Tuesday, and he would share with me all his vast knowledge of debate and other things too, like the importance of serving others. See, because Tim Browning is all about serving other people. When Tim passes, I'm going to recommend to his family that they just put 3 words on his tombstone. He served others. But we met every Tuesday for a year so that he could get me up to speed so that I would be qualified to teach debate. And during those meetings, I learned a lot more than just teaching debate. I learned that he had studied for his master's in Africa. He had taught and coached at 3 major universities, taught and coached debate at 3 major universities. He owned a business. He was mayor of Centralia. In his late 70s, he was still making trips to China to judge and coach debate. And I cherished those coffee meetings that year. I felt like the young man in Tuesdays with Maury. You guys know that? The young people have no idea what I'm talking about. And after that year, we brought debate back to Centralia College, and Mr. B would come with me to class every day and guide me along until I knew enough to teach it myself the following year, and that was 8 years ago. And thanks to Tim Browning, there are hundreds of Blazer alums that are now able to argue with their spouses in a healthy way. Being involved in the community to the extent that Tim is involved comes with a lot of sacrifices, as you know. And to Marianne and Daniel and Alan, I just want to say thank you guys for your sacrifice. Thank you for the sharing of your father's time. And this award is for you too. In fact, I'm going to go off script for 1 sec. Browning family, would you mind standing up and just being recognized, all of you? Can you imagine Alan and Daniel as teenagers trying to argue with their debate champion dad? Probably didn't go very well. The other challenge to being as involved in your community as much as Tim Browning is that oftentimes you're working in the background and you're doing a lot of things in a lot of hours and it goes unnoticed. And I know there's a whole bunch of people in this room that know what I'm talking about. And I just want to say that tonight is a special night because Mr. B, we notice. In fact, you guys humor me if you would. On the count of 3, can we just turn to Mr. B and say, Mr. B, we noticed? 1, 2, 3. Mr. B. Please help me in welcoming to the stage our 1962 valedictorian and your 2024 distinguished alumnus, Mr. Tim Browning.
Thank you, Jeff. Those are very kind words. And it's very special to me because I'm being introduced by a member of the faculty at Centralia College. Faculty members are still the most important people that we have at our institution. And I just want to report to you that Monday at Centralia College in Jeff's class, I judged the final round of his class debate. So the circle continues. In more ways than one, this is a very special evening. Tonight we have the privilege of celebrating 100 years of Centralia College. 100 years of making a difference in Centralia and Lewis County. So it is an honor to be honored tonight, but even more of an honor to be a part of the 100-year anniversary of this college. You met my family. We have a small business, and I have 3 of our employees that are here too. Felina, Tara, Erica, say hello, because they work us with us. not sure when, but there were 3 little boys out on 4 Road on Forge Prairie started picking strawberries together. Eventually they managed to become Cub Scouts. Eventually they graduated from Forge Prairie Elementary School, continued on in Boy Scouts, went on to Washington School, went on to earn their Eagles together, and then went on to Centralia High School, graduated from Centralia High School, and it's a great honor to me tonight that one of the members of that triumvirate has flown in from San Francisco to be a part of this celebration. Dr. Doug Schultz has taught math in Malaysia, in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Micronesia. At one time was a math teacher of the year in the state of California. Please recognize my good friend, Dr. Doug Schultz. And let me remind you, he is a Centralia College graduate, class of 1962. I am proud to be the 25th Tiger to win this award. More than any other institution, and we're very proud of that. And I've had the privilege of working with many of my classmates in Centralia School District. My cousin, Dr. Steve Webster, you might want to read about him. He changed the whole nature of the Christmas tree industry in Southwest Washington. My high school physics mate, John Wright, eventually became vice president of Texas Instruments, and he and his kids have one of the foremost engineering companies in the state of Texas. Classmate Dr. John Stewart, who is a renowned scholar and communicator and writer and retired university professor and administrator. I took classes, Alicia, from your dad at Centralia College. I took classes from Howard's dad at Centralia College. It was a great community with great instructors, and it was very, very important. And then there was this guy who came into my philosophy class that Reverend Lord was teaching, plopped down in the empty seat next to me, immediately put his head down on a notebook that said Smith on it, and fell asleep. I guess he hadn't had enough coffee yet. Long before Starbucks, we knew he was amazing. Orrin Smith, what an incredible career. There are dozens of Orrin Smith stories. I thought I might share 2 of my favorites with you. During our PLU years, when Jerry and I were not out on the debate circuit, Orrin would come down from the University of Washington and spend the weekend with us. He loved to play chess. I almost never beat him. So I hid the chess set, told him I left it in Centralia. Oh, that was no chess that weekend. 2 weeks later, he visited again. Made no comments, just quietly unpacked a new chess set, set it on the table. More chess, no mercy, more losses. Many, many years later, I arrived in Beijing on my first trip to China. What would China be like? What kind of experiences would I have? I was a little frightened. It was midnight and it's dark. I'd never been there before. So I picked up my bags and I exited the baggage claim. And what do you think the first thing I encountered was? Starbucks. Yeah, that's right. Arn had already been there. These students and all of the other ones are just examples, perfect examples of the great work and value of Centralia College. The opportunities that are allowed are unparalleled. As Larry said, thousands of students have utilized Centralia College to make the next step in their life's journey. There have been many key players in Centralia College's history. My personal choices of people that I would like to recognize: Catherine Kemp, who some of you know kept this thing going during the Depression. Dr. Kenneth Mallory, who was superintendent of the schools and president of the college and hired so many of the great teachers that I had the opportunity to work with. Dr. Hank Kirk, who showed up at a time when things were a little unsettled at Centralia College, and I believe rescued Centralia College from being closed down or moved. Larry, who came in and built the incredible four-year program that we have here. And now we have Dr. Moorbacher, who is taking us to the next level. Times are good at Centralia College. In my view, the opportunity to interact and learn from faculty members on a one-to-one basis in small classes was and is the basis for real academic success. Of all my professors from several universities, the ones at Centralia College that were the most critical are the ones that I truly remember and whose names I remember and refer to. Some of you may be old enough to remember, and some of you may just have heard about these guys. But Dr. Robert Harris was a history teacher and debate coach. His history class was standing room only. If you didn't sign up early, you didn't get in his class. Owen Wicks taught us economics in a way that many of us have used it our whole lives. Bob Godsey taught us mathematics. Mr. Carlson taught us psychology. Ms. Lindgren taught us sociology. Mrs. Russell taught us about Shakespeare. And Frank Rosa wore out, I can't tell you how many red pens editing my essays that I sent into it. I don't know how many of you can remember that many teachers or that many professors you have, what institution you went to. I certainly can't from any of the rest of them. The impact that Centralia College had was really profound. So professors like Jeff and Kelly and Rachel are now doing the same thing, providing the same inspiration at the students, creating an unimaginable opportunity for all of our students. Since my days at CC, I've had a 62-year journey of unbelievable experiences. That journey in many ways has been shared by my best friend and debate partner, Jerry Burchett, and only illness precludes him from being here this evening. One day in 1983, Joe Vanderhoff and Chuck Rector visited my business and invited me to join Rotary. I joined, and I am a proud 41-year Rotarian. And I certainly would like to recognize all those Rotarians that are here tonight for the work that they do in the community and the work that they do around the world. We all share, as Larry said, Rotary's motto, service above self. It fits my worldview. I also remembered a conversation I had with my father. One day when I suspect I was being probably a little too full of myself, probably not necessarily being as wise as I should have been, probably about some debate success or tournament that we had won. My father waited for a calm and quiet time and quietly admonished me, Tim, what you are isn't very important. What you leave behind is what is really important. Ouch. Properly scolded. Message received. Not long after joining Rotary, Mayor Jack Gelder appointed me to the Planning Commission at the City of Centralia, and my commitment to our community began. I thought I might just tell you a few anecdotes to make life kind of fun and some things that have happened to me along the way. When Jerry and I transferred to Pacific Lutheran University, we were on an extremely tight budget. We purchased an 8 by 24 foot, 20-year-old trailer for $200 and moved it to Steel Street in Tacoma. It soon became an iconic destination for our PLU students. Our trailer had a bathroom that was so small that it was famous for being able to simultaneously perform the three S's, shower, shave, and I am sure that most of the students at PLU had never seen a bathroom so small. When I enrolled at the University of Khartoum later, my sponsor was a member of the Mahdi family.
The Mahdi and his family was, and in some ways still are, the spiritual leader of the Sudan and the most powerful and wealthiest. One evening, I was at one of his compounds, socializing with his three of his sons and their wives. For some of you who remember or have seen the pictures, during the Commonwealth days, when the British drank alcohol, they drank it in a big, huge glass. Might only been this much alcohol in the bottom, but you got it served in a big glass. That's important to know because not long after that, the servants notify us that the Mahdi has arrived. And here we are sitting there, and I'm with the three brothers and their wives. We have no time to do anything, so guess what? I have one glass clear full of scotch, and all my pockets are full of cigarettes. And I guess that it's okay for the infidel to sit there and do that. But that's not the end of the story. During the entire evening, one of the brothers who was sitting next to me, very quietly, listening most of the time, his name was Sadiq el-Mahdi, who eventually served as prime minister 2 times for the nation of Sudan. What an opportunity I missed of not making that contact and keeping that contact my whole life. I suspect maybe I was more enthused about the whole glass of scotch than I was in making contacts. One day, Carol E. Neely, Bonnie Kennedy, and Joyce Barnes came to my business. Now, they were going to try to persuade me to run for city council. If you know those 3 ladies, persuasion was not a part of the options. The only possible answer was yes. So I ran for city council and I got elected. What they didn't tell me was that we were under court order to build a new wastewater treatment plant. So you're the new guy, you're the poop guy. Somebody's got to learn how to do this. Liberal arts major doesn't know anything about the biology and the chemistry and the physics of wastewater treatment plant, but I had to learn. So after some really exciting visits to Huntington, Alabama, and Phoenix, Arizona, and various other places, we finally settled on a plan and built a new wastewater treatment plant. With the advice of a wise city council and a wise staff, Deb Parnham, where are you, Deb? Husband's company built the plant under budget and ahead of schedule. That was a great opportunity for the city of Centralia. I have 2 stories about my interaction with police. When I was on vacation in Khartoum, I was in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, bunking with 2 Peace Corps volunteers. They asked me if I wanted to go see a Shakespearean play, and they were doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. Of course I want to go. So we cruise over to the theater. It's quite small. We go in. There are only like 8 or 9 other people there. We're a little early, and all of a sudden, boom, here come all the military police. They come in. They block each one of the doors. They lock them. They take a position in front of them. We're saying, oh, I don't know what's going on, but this is probably very good. The back door opens. They bring in a throne, and Emperor Haile Selassie comes in and sits on the throne to watch Midsummer Night's Dream. For those of you who may remember, one of the titles that Haile Selassie used was Lion of Judah. And for those of you who remember A Midsummer Night's Dream, one of the major characters is the Cowardly Lion. I've still always wondered how much English he really understood in choosing that play to go to. Many years later, I was in Harbin, China, up in the north at the end of the Transcontinental Railroad, and there is an old monastery, cathedral there, St. Sophia's Cathedral. I'd been there before, and it was filled with pictures and writings. It's all in Mandarin, so I had no idea what really it was all about. So I'd made arrangement to go the next time, and I had one of the students who was going to go along with me, and he would translate for me. So I go up there, and I go up to the to the counter to buy my ticket, and I hand over my passport, and they take it, and then they start talking about it. And they're handing it around and looking at it. I don't know what's going on, but this doesn't sound like it's real good either. Pretty soon they hand it back and they point over to the soldier that's standing over there, the guard. So I take the passport over there. And he looks at it, and then he talks to the student. He looks at it some more. I'm really confused. I'm very upset. I'm afraid about what may be going on here. So then the guard says, okay, you can go in. So as we're walking in, I asked the student, I said, well, what was that discussion all about? And he said, oh, it's simple. What the guard said was, grandpas go free. My last story is about debate. When Jerry and I were at Centralia College and we were getting ready to go off to community college, junior college nationals, and we'd already agreed to go to Pacific Lutheran, Professor Carl from PLU and our debate coach, Mr. Harris, set up a practice round for us to get ourselves ready to go and ready to compete at nationals. So they sent down their best team to debate with us. In retrospect, I think that they did it, Professor Carl didn't send his team down to make us better. I think he sent his best team down to show us some humility on what PLU was going to be like when we got up there. We were properly trounced by the PLU team. And some of you in this room may remember that the debater that we called Judy Santarud, you all called Judith Billings, who was superintendent of schools for the state of Washington for a number of years. Currently, I have the privilege of helping build Centralia School District as we try to continue to address the issues that are necessary to provide our students with a great future. We are committed to doing that for each and all of our students. We are developing the area's first Green Energy Academy, and we're preparing our students for the build out of the Trans Alta Energy Academy out on the Big Hannaford. Such a task requires a commitment of many people, particularly at the organizational level. So I want to recognize our school board and particularly Deb Parman, who's here. Deb? And our fantastic superintendent of schools, Dr. Lisa Grant. They are too all committed to making Centralia a school district of excellence. I want to conclude by reinforcing the special relationship between Centralia High School and Centralia College. I hope to support and continue to grow that partnership. The relatively inexpensive opportunity for 2-year, 4-year technical programs is an incredible opportunity for our students. The accomplishments of past winners should be a clear message that a great start at Centralia College is a prelude to a great future. Thank you very much, and thank you for the honor.
Oh my goodness, what an evening. You know, this just started a couple years ago. This used to be a luncheon that was held, and we decided that wasn't given enough time and attention to what we could be learning from and growing from. So I'm really, really thankful that this evening was developed, started, and will continue. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. Congratulations to those winners. But again, what an opportunity to acknowledge students, teachers, community leaders. It's just fantastic. So again, thank you very much for joining us this evening. One thing I would like to note is if anybody would like some extra printed material that's on the table, we do have extra of that. If you would let somebody know in the back, we could get that for you as well. And again, thank you very much for coming. Have a good evening.